You were Mrs. India.
Yes. I was really living the life that I always had dreamt of. At 51, I'm very proud of everything. Botox is paralyzing your muscles. My hair started to fall. I had severe pigmentation issues.
Why did I actually start?
There are other options. They create the problem and then they're giving you the solution. I don't want to divide women into two groups, but when we talk about age is not just what you see outside. How many women just follow a diet because it's worked for their best friend or their sister? Feeling in alignment with who I am, that is beauty for me. That is aging gracefully, because you know what? All our issues get stuck in our tissues. I make my students do this very interesting exercise always. Your body does not need a gym today. Your body needs...
Uma, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. The first thing I saw was, I was like, oh my God, you are so stunning. You are so beautiful, so natural. You have a 24-year-old son, you just told me.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen skin this good.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's amazing. So I can't wait to dive into this conversation with you.
Sure. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. And my son is 24. I'm 51.
Wow.
And I'm loving to be in my 50s.
You know, Gwyneth Paltrow said that at 50 she felt like she got a software upgrade. Is this true?
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. It's just, and you keep feeling it with everything that happens. You're like, oh, it happened to me earlier, but now my response is so different than I responded to it before. And you're like, yes, I have upgraded.
So we're going to start with the fact that you were Mrs. India.
Yes.
You were literally in the public eye for a very, very long time. What was going on behind the scenes for you at that time, emotionally, that we didn't see?
Very interesting question, and it's something that actually started my journey into the wellness industry. So television pretty much started after I won the beauty contest. And before that, I was in fashion, and I studied fashion, and fashion is something that I always wanted to do. I still love fashion. And so television journey started after the contest. I basically started with one TV show on a channel, which really became a huge brand here. That was pretty much the first ever content for a South Asian channel. So I pioneered the industry when nobody was really creating content locally. I'm talking about 2004.
Wow.
And when that show took off, I launched my own television production company, and I started to produce a lot of different television shows, all lifestyle-based, mainly for different channels and different platforms. At one point, we had around 8 television shows on 8 different platforms when content creation was not a thing.
Yeah.
But I was really living the life that I always had dreamt of as a little girl. I was, walking the red carpet, hobnobbing with celebrities, interviewing them, getting dressed by designers, and, hair, makeup, and spotlight, and all of those things that I had dreamt of as a little girl. And of course, I was also meeting very, very interesting people. I was interviewing people. I was getting to know them, closely, whether they were celebrities, political leaders, and, really the CEOs and the who's who of the society. And so it was very stimulating on one side. On the other side, I did not realize it for a long, long time that I was obviously managing a business that vibrant and, managing your life and living in the spotlight, in the public eye, was taking away something from me that I did not realize at that time, but much later. But when I started to have the physical manifestation of it, for example, I started to have gut issues, my hair started to fall, I had severe pigmentation issues, I had severe mood swings at one point. And I was not just feeling myself. I knew that I was walking away from myself as a woman. And there was not one moment, but the small nudges that you get, that there's something else that you need to do. There's something you need to do or take responsibility of. So on the outside, it looked like I was living a dream life and, really on top of the world, winning all the awards, accolades. But on the other side, I knew I had to change something. And only I could do that because only I knew there was some shift that I had to make. And so while doing television, when I knew that I had to make those shifts, I basically went back to very small changes. I started to do breath work. I started to meditate. I started to really see what was going inside my body, not just in terms of food, but in terms of everything that I was consuming, the people I was meeting, the kind of interaction I was having. I started to become more conscious about the makeup products I was putting in, the skincare, and all of those things. I just became more aware and conscious. And this I'm talking about 12 years back, so like 2011, 2012, when wellness was not as big industry that it is right now.
Yeah.
So while I did that, after 6 months, I saw a huge shift in me. I could see that I started to feel myself again. I could really not react to things, but respond to things. I was having more clarity in my, emotionally, mentally. I had better energy levels. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I made small shifts and I could see such huge impact. And I was like, you know what? I want to share this with other women who are in the same boat, busy mothers, busy entrepreneurs, or, in the corporate world. And I really want to bring about this knowledge that I've gained on the, to more people. And so I went ahead and I studied to become a health coach, and I became a certified health coach. And I started coaching women while I was doing my television. And more women I coached, I realized most women were having skin issues. And by now we know that skin is very much an extension of everything that's going on inside of your body, outside of your body. And so I became a certified skin coach. I started to coach more and more women, consolidated my television business. I was on top of the game. People were like, are you serious? You're leaving all of these for something that you don't even know clearly, or you don't even know what it's going to be like. But I knew the voice inside of me was guiding me through something that was bigger than something I could even see, because I knew that was, bringing about a shift in me. And I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And I knew that from television, if I got into wellness, I would continue to be that entrepreneur, but I wanted to have more impact.
Right.
I wanted to become a social entrepreneur rather than just, focusing on the revenue. I wanted to focus on the revenue plus impact. And so that really pushed me in that direction. And while coaching women, I started to learn a lot of different holistic beauty modalities. I was already doing face yoga. I was in my late 30s by then. So I was, I got really interested in all of these holistic modalities like face massage, facial reflexology, facial cupping, facial gua sha. I learned all of that. I got certification for that. I started teaching women. Way before 2020 happened, I had online courses. I was teaching big groups of women, like 200, 300 at a time. And then 2020 happened, my business really skyrocketed because at that time, people really had time to
They were forced to look into inside and start to do some self-care. Yes.
And that's how the Uma show as a brand grew on YouTube, as well as I launched my own beauty tools. I launched many different online courses. And then I met my business partner in one of the courses. And then we together launched Pro Age Aesthetics Academy in 2021. And rest is history. I mean, I feel like after 2020, a lot of things have shifted. Globally, women are more conscious of making choices that are good for them in terms of everything: physical health, mental well-being, overall well-being. And I really feel very grateful to be here right now with a voice, with a message, to be able to educate women and shift their perception towards beauty in general.
I want to go back to what you said about the part where you were experiencing, anxiety, and you felt like, was it mostly because you were going against your intuition of this calling that you had?
Yeah, and I didn't know at that time what to label it, but definitely it was a kind of burnout that I was going through because I was obviously so focused on performance and not really focused on my presence. and of course anxiety, and all of these feelings that you get inside of you that you cannot explain, but you know that there's so much of unrest that wants you to look within.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. I think it was intuition, or, you know, whatever you call it, the gut feel. I definitely knew that I had to redefine success for myself, because what I was living at that time was very much labeled success. And, I was called successful. I felt I was successful because that's how I had defined success according to society's definition of success. But I knew I had to redefine success for myself, and re-look at everything that I was doing. And that definitely came from really listening to my intuition, my gut feeling, and all those shifts that you go through at a human level as a woman. And that brought me to this journey. I wouldn't say it was easy at all.
And what was the hardest part about going with that shift? Because, I mean, from the outside, I'm looking at everybody in the world is going anti-aging, anti-aging, anti-aging. And then Uma's saying pro-aging.
Yeah.
So what is the hardest part about this?
When we talk about age is not just what you see outside, it's how you feel about yourself. And so when you talk about the hardest part was the journey that I went through as a woman. Firstly, redefining success for myself. And that comes with so many challenges, because you are running a successful business and suddenly you have changed your course and you have to create a business out of what you are doing that aligns with you. That's not an easy path, and being an entrepreneur and being somebody who's always been financially independent, it's a hard path to choose, to give up something that was making, was financially viable and move
Very
into
hard.
something
So
that
difficult.
is so difficult. So firstly, redefine what is success for you, at that point. And
what
then
what keeps you strong?
what
then?
keeps you strong on those days when you know that you're doing something you're so passionate about, but it's not getting the revenue that you want, but you keep at it. You keep at it because you know that you believe in it. You know the world needs it. You know that you are making an impact and making a difference. And I'm glad I went through that, but that was a tough journey. And then secondly, as a woman, as I said, all of this started in my late 30s. And, I hit 40s and perimenopause and hormonal changes. And that there are a lot of these choices that you can make in terms of injectables, in terms of different treatments. But you also know, when you're more aware, that they're all interfering with your endocrine system, your hormones, your, everything inside of you. And so externally, it will have an impact in the long run. So you want to choose consciously, but you also see your body going through changes, right? You suddenly, if you didn't put on weight before, suddenly in perimenopause, you start to see bulges here and there. Your skin starts to behave differently. Your hair starts to behave differently. So, but yet to stick to natural choices and find your way through it is not easy in today's day and age, especially when you are in the public eye. So that was definitely a tough decision, tough journey, but I stuck to it. And I'm so glad I did, because today, being in my 50s, being 51, I feel I have so much of power in my own hand, because I have taken the responsibility of my own health, my own overall well-being, my emotional health, mental health in my own hands.
There's nothing more powerful.
There's nothing more powerful. Nobody can come and sell something to me just because they think it's good for me. I know what's good for me and what's not. So I'm not anymore in a space where I'm insecure about something. So it's easy to sell me something.
Also, one part of it that's so difficult, I would assume, is the fact that we are constantly being given solutions, but the solutions that we're being given through Western medicine, and they seem to be just kind of like a quick fix or a short term, and the long-term side effects, then we don't really talk about them because we have to suffer forever with them. And it's so important to actually be able to understand your body and see how to choose it, when a conscious solution actually can give you a solution for a longer period of time
Yeah.
while staying natural and true to your body. So if you were to say there's one thing you wish all women would just unlearn about aging, what would it be?
There's obviously many things, but just redefining beauty and aging. And that is what I want people to unlearn. And I make my students do this very interesting exercise always, is sit down, look at yourself in the mirror, and write down what beauty is for you. Because, beauty is one of those definitions that was always given to us. If you really think about it, it's not something we created ourselves. It was given to us by the society, the media, the magazines, the films that we watch, our caretakers, our parents, maybe a friend, maybe a relative. Somebody commented on us. Somebody said, oh, if you had this, you would have looked better. So somebody is defining beauty for us. And somehow we never take the time to redefine it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we start to believe what others feel or see as beauty is the definition of beauty for us too. So this is what I want people to shift first before they even, start doing something for themselves. What is really aging for you? What is beauty for you? Because it's not so much external as it is internal. Because what we really fear of aging is the side effects of aging, that we'll have less energy, that we'll have brain fog, we'll maybe not remember things, we, will not be as active, and will not look the way we look. These are all the side effects of aging, right? So aging is something that you cannot avoid. We are aging from the time we are born, right? It's imperative. What we are scared of is the side effects, but those can be managed well if you know yourself better. What do you really want to manage? Do you really want to manage your external self, or you want to be more active, you want to be more attentive, you want to be more focused? For me, definition of aging well is being vibrant.
Yes.
It's not just looking great. It's not having a certain face shape, lip shape, or eye color or skin color. It's feeling vibrant. It's feeling in alignment with who I am. That is beauty for me. That is aging gracefully and pro-aging for me.
And as I get older, I keep thinking like I don't know your views on this, and please do tell me, but I started getting Botox because I was just seeing that everyone was getting Botox. I'm not going to lie. Like I didn't have a wrinkle on my forehead, but I thought, okay, I just saw preventative measures and blah, blah, blah. And then now I'm realizing that it's toxic and that there's actually a lot of side effects to it. And I'm just thinking, why did I actually start? I didn't even have any wrinkles. There was no problem. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I just basically went in, and I just started to realize as well, for me, it's like I'm following along with what everybody else is doing.
Earlier you said, everyone is selling us a solution. It's actually everyone is selling us insecurities.
Yes.
And then they they create the problem, and then they're giving you the solution. So if you have even one line on your forehead, so what?
Yeah.
So what? Who said that our forehead has to be completely flat? Who said the big, huge lips are beautiful, right? Who said that really high cheekbones are beautiful? It's the definition that is given to us. So they've already sold us an insecurity, and then they're selling us the solution. So you've already bought the insecurity. So it's very easy to buy into the solution. So talking about, giving the answer to your question, it's the same thing with all, whether it's Botox, fillers, or all of these solutions. It's basically is questioning it, right? Do you really need it? Why do you need it? And if you need it, then what is really going inside of your body, and what is it really doing? For example, Botox is paralyzing your muscles. When it paralyzes your muscle, for example, it's in forehead, it is interfering with your lymphatic system. It is interfering with your muscles, of course, because it's paralyzed now. It's interfering with your fascia layer. It's interfering with the way the nutrient is reaching the skin.
Wow.
Everything, your muscle is paralyzed, so every other function is not working at its optimum. In the holistic beauty modalities, we do just the opposite. we are actually activating all of these things, your lymph system, your muscles, your fascia layer. So it may take longer, but in the long run, this is what is going to give sustainable, better results. And this will only keep harming you. And you cannot, after a while, see any results from Botox because it's done its job, and the skin on wherever you've done Botox starts to look dull, and you cannot keep doing Botox in the same place time and again. And we all know by now the toxins that it's injecting into your body, and that goes with every other injectable. Having said that, I'm not against it. I never want to divide women into two groups, who are doing injectables or who are into holistic. I feel there are a lot of things already dividing us, and our beauty choices should not divide us. So I don't want to divide women into two groups, but I want to educate women to show them that there is and there are other options. It's just that they don't know, because that industry has so much budget to market themselves. That's popping up on your algorithm more than the holistic beauty industry, because this industry does not have that kind of budget, right? So you are seeing that insecurity, that solution, that product, and you're buying into it more. But there are other options. I just want to make women more aware, more educated, and conscious about their choices. And after that, choice is ours. We have the free will to choose what we want to, but at least have the information. You know how many women really go for Botox, fillers, and all of these injectables without even asking questions?
Yes, yeah. They just like, this is what we do. This is what everybody's doing. This
exactly.
is what.
And young girls, teenagers in their early 20s, what are we doing? What are we doing? You have a daughter right now. Obviously, you want to set an example for younger girls when they're looking up to us. We as parents always live by example. You cannot teach your children and tell them what to do, what not to do, but you can lead them by example.
I think it's so toxic to constantly try to look like a younger version of you, because it's like a race with zero finish line. There's no finish line. And if I'm going to constantly try to look the same as when I was 18 years old, first of all, it's not possible. And the more I try, the older I'm going to look. And I see this a lot with a lot of women that do too much.
Yeah.
I did notice one thing, by the way. I genuinely believed, and my friends thought I was crazy, but I genuinely believed that Botox was making me stressed out. And they were like, "What do you mean makes you stressed out?" And this is how I found out. I did a face gym exercise thing with this lady. Did like a face massage for me. First time I've ever done it. I have never felt more alive and movement and blood in my face. And then as I was just kind of thinking about it, I thought, oh my God, I haven't moved my forehead in like 8 months.
There you go.
So of course, when I'm just kind of sitting like this, then everything else kind of starts to kind of dwindle and become dull. And when she moved my cheeks around and my muscles, I was like, I have never been more obsessed with something. And I realized, oh my gosh, I stopped doing Botox. Now I can move my forehead freely. And it's kind of nice, because even when I'm sad or angry or happy, I'm like, I feel it.
You can show emotions. In fact, there's a very interesting study done a few years back that how women who have too much Botox on their face and they've frozen their face, their relationship with their children, and how their children grow up not really knowing how to emote emotions because they've never seen their mother do that.
That is fascinating.
Isn't that shocking?
It's so true. You need to show your daughter that you're feeling with her.
Exactly. Like you just said before the interview, there are a lot of cries in the house. She's 4 years old now.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful, to be able to express your emotions in every form, because when you feel is when you heal. When you cannot heal anything if you're not feeling it. And if you're freezing your face constantly, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why freeze yourself when you can really be free?
Yes.
When you can feel.
The freedom and expression.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's what I love about pro-aging, because when we call anything anti-aging, we are denying our age, and we are denying everything that comes with age. That is our lessons, our wisdom, our experiences, our children, everything that we've achieved. You're basically denying all of that because you want to be focusing on anti-aging. But when you're pro-aging as a concept, you are embracing all of that you have experienced in your life. At 51, I'm very proud of everything that I've gone through, I'm very proud of the mistakes I've made too, because that taught me to be the woman that I am today. And so I am embracing aging. I love the lines that I have on my face. I love the way my face looks now than it looked in my 20s. No, I don't want to go back to my 20s, because what I feel internally now is way better than the way I felt in my 20s or even in my 30s. I feel the sense of freedom. I feel the sense of, that pride of being who I am. And I have strong boundaries now that I did not have in my 20s and 30s, and that protects my energy and my, my mental health and my emotional health so much. And I'm really proud of all of those things. And so I don't want to deny aging at all. I want to keep pro-aging, but at the same time, I want to keep biohacking in whatever way I can to look and feel the best I can at this age.
Can you just tell me what you tell your students, for example, if somebody comes to you and they just say, I'm going through a lot of stress, I've been doing a lot of external factors, and I have an 18-step skincare routine. What's the first thing you do or advise them to help them realign and try to kind of get back in touch?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And most of the time, my students come to me saying the external things. Oh, my face is looking tired. I look like it's sagged. I'm not looking as younger as I used to. So most of the time, the focus is on the external.
Right.
And then that's where my job starts, to take their focus to the internal world and what's happening there, because that's where it all starts. If you've suddenly started to look tired, if you've suddenly feel like your face is looking saggy and dull, then there's definitely something happening internally that you need to address. So my first focus is always going back to where you came from, the big shifts that happened in your life, and what is your lifestyle like? Because being beautiful has so much to do with how you're nourishing yourself physically, how you're balancing yourself spiritually, and then comes the external, how you're taking care of yourself externally. And that physical nourishment comes from obviously the food, the movement that we have. Like I always teach my students 6 pillars of well-being. The first is, of course, nutrition, which is a vast subject. I can go on and on about it. The second is hydration. Not many people know that how hydration can impact everything inside of us and outside. Third is movement. Sitting is the new smoking. We are sitting a lot and we are not moving our body the way we are meant to.
Yeah.
Not just going to the gym. A lot of people I see are actually overworking, and that is impacting the way their face is aging. So really finding your movement, what aligns with you. Fourth is very important, and that is sleep, because that's when we are regenerating, resetting, rejuvenating. And the fifth is emotional well-being. How do you process your emotions? Because you know what? All our issues get stuck in our tissues. So we may think that we have processed it, we've gone past it, but on a cellular level, they're all stuck somewhere. And that's why so many times when I'm giving a face massage to my clients, they get up from the table crying. Is because all of those emotions are getting released now, because we've stored them at a cellular level, at the muscular level, at the fascia level. And then when you are going deep and you're releasing it, you feel the impact of it.
Yes.
And it's so important to process those emotions on a daily basis, because things are happening on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And the sixth pillar, which is very important, is a sense of community. How loneliness is a new disease.
Yes.
How many people do we have around us? It doesn't have to be a big group, but some few people that we can truly connect with, who can hold space for us, for whom we can hold space and be our 100% authentic self.
That is pure gold. I encourage people to go on those 6 pillars and actually really, really, really look deeply within. I stored so much in my body, Uma, and then I would look back at pictures of me at 21 and 22 where I was in my prime, right? In my prime, modeling, Los Angeles, had it all, looked like she had it all. Finally had money to actually buy a wardrobe and clothes and stuff for the first time in my life. I was supporting my mom, and I look back and I think I looked 12 years older than what I was. And the first thing that actually happened was the meditation, because you couldn't get me to sit down. But when I finally broke through I can't meditate because my thoughts, that's the point. The point is to hear the thoughts.
Yes.
And then I started to cleanse that the box of junk that was sitting inside my body, and I realized how much I was walking around like this, like squinting. And I was just kind of like shoulders. I saw this on your Instagram as well. Like the posture was like this, and even like closing my heart. I didn't know this, so you're protecting your heart from pain.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's so beautiful.
Beautiful.
But it's so important. We're walking around and we're going freeze, 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 instead of make it alive. Feel, be alive. I love that. If you were to go into every woman's house right now and just let's have a little magic wand and just make something disappear from her shop, what would it be?
I would make a lot of the skincare and makeup product disappear. We don't need so much. We don't need 10, 15 step skincare. We don't need so much of makeup. And I will make one more thing completely disappear is from her head rather than physical. Is the narrative we have about ourselves. And this is another exercise I do with all my students, and I would like all the audience to actually pause the video and do it. Write down the narrative you have about yourself. You'll be surprised when we write about ourselves and everything, our physical self, the way we look at ourselves, emotional body, and how we have kind of gone through our life, everything, 70% of it is negative. 70% of it is negative. So I really want to sit down and change the narrative consciously into something positive. Because the moment we wake up and we look at ourselves in the mirror, we go like, I wish my face was like this, or I wish I was like this, or my tummy was flatter, or I had bigger this, or I looked a certain way. Who said that? See what is the narrative you have inside of you. Change that, because you know what? If you don't change the narrative, no matter how many skincare steps you have, whatever makeup you do, how many treatments you do, you will keep going from one to the other. Once you change the narrative is when your work starts. When I talk about going and doing the work, does not mean fixing you. That's another thing that I see in today's day and age. People are constantly trying to fix themselves. It's not about fixing. It's really evolving. And there's a huge difference between the two. And I have gone through all of these journeys, gone through all inner child work and therapy and spiritual therapy and, sat with ayahuasca and all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's not from a space of trying to fix myself, but trying to understand myself better. Because when you know yourself better is when you can choose the right thing that is for you and not for everyone. It's like following a diet blindly. How many women just follow a diet because it's worked for their best friend or their sister? But your body is different. We are all bio-individual. So if something is working for someone else, does not mean it's going to work for you. Same goes with your healing journey. Same goes with your internal work. Same goes with anything towards evolving yourself. Find your path. And that's where everything begins. When you start to understand yourself, then you know what you love about yourself and what you don't, because we all have shadow sides, right?
Course,
But embracing all of that is beautiful.
I love this. I think this episode's going to have some incredible call to actions and solutions, and this is a great way to start. Honestly, for me, sleep, I don't have a 12-step skincare routine, because one day I slept for so long when my daughter was with her dad, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh, This is
That's
all I
it.
needed to
That's
do.
all you need.
Yes.
I say this all the time. We don't need all of these extensive skincare and extensive makeup. All we need is rest sometimes.
Yeah.
Just rest, heal,
And
rejuvenate.
calm. Yes.
That's it. Don't go to the gym because you just found somebody on Instagram looking amazing in the gym wearing some really cool gym clothes and you feel like you need to go. Maybe your body does not need a gym today. Your body needs a bed.
Or stretching as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, stretching has been life-changing for me
Me
as
too.
well. Releasing those toxins, just kind of completely spread it. We're always shrinking, right? We're
Yeah.
constantly shrinking everything.
Exactly.
And we want to shrink our pores, or we want to shrink our body, and we want to shrink everything.
We
And it's
shrink
like,
ourselves.
we shrink
in the
ourselves in the
journey,
process.
yeah.
What is your mission from now going forward, and what do you want the audience here to remember today from this episode?
My biggest mission is to redefine the beauty standards. And I really want everyone after this podcast, and I create content myself, and I feel like every content should have a giveaway. And this is my giveaway. Pause the podcast and redefine beauty for yourself. And do that every 6 months, because you know what? As we evolve as women, the definition of beauty keeps changing. Please don't fall for the beauty standard that society is giving you, the standards that the media is selling to you or a product is selling to you. Define your own beauty standards and then work towards it. Because you know what? How much ever you do externally and however beautiful you look externally, if you're not feeling it inside, you are not going to look it for a very long time.
Yes.
You need to feel beautiful inside, and that comes with the alignment that you have with the external world and your internal world, and that is beauty for you. Get aligned with who you are internally and then find out who you want to be externally.
Otherwise, it's just asking from external,
Yeah,
external.
otherwise
we
it's
get
20-step skincare.
nowhere. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Uma.
Thank you for having me.
I
You are too.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week.